we don't make those changes, as a society, as companies, as industry, as business, we're going to face far greater challenges in the future. And it's actually the challenge for survival and sustainability that's at stake here. So we can learn from the scientists that are telling us what we need to do, and we can learn from those that are leading the way in terms of the green revolution, the environmental revolution, and what steps can be taken in a very sustainable and safe way. I think that we can all learn from that. I think for me it really is about, as you say, people, planet and profits. And for me it's about investing in the people that work in the company, really showing that you have a sensitivity and a care to who they are and what their purpose is. In terms of the planet, we have to be shifting the purpose of what we're doing and the direction in which we're going to care more for the planet. The age of petrol and non-sustainable forms of energy is over now. It really did change at the end of the last century. You have to think in a more sustainable way on every level. When President Obama starts talking about a new green economy and changing his focus to bringing in more green ideas on sustainability, that is going to create jobs. That is going to create new opportunities for vast communities across the world. And I think that we all need to be following those kinds of examples. I think for me it's very much listening to the science. The science is telling us without much left to challenge. The science is very good when it talks about the environment and when it talks about what are the social ills of society. And I think the leaders of industry and the leaders of companies do really need to listen to that. I think it's also getting in touch with your community and taking risks. There is going to be a certain amount of risk taking, and it's getting out of your comfort zone of business as usual. Business as usual is now unusual business. We need to actually change. We need to be creative, and we need to take risks. And certainly it does, as I said, it does take you out of your comfort zone, and it does make things more difficult to predict. And if you're just looking at the economic bottom line, certainly there are going to be risks, and there are going to be periods when there's a lot of unease and fear about the future. So effective leadership, I think, also can be defined by a good leader. A strong leader for me would be one that can quite easily hand control or authority of the organization, of the mission, to anyone else in the organization, because everyone is invested in what the purpose is and has the same vision in terms of the sort of mutual caring and the mutual support. I mean, I think leadership is an attitude. And it needs to be, as I say, I think it needs to be based in that understanding of care and sharing the vision. Showing a strong message and a strong direction in the place that you want to go, and not being too, not shifting purpose too much. Really, you have to adapt to a changing world. A strong leadership needs to adapt in an effective way. Ben, we are the Bicycling Empowerment Network, and our focus is all things about bicycles. That's the medium through which we operate. We are trying to address the 3 tiers of poverty alleviation, if you like, which is social poverty, economic poverty, and environmental poverty, through this amazing machine of the bicycle, which has transformed societies for the last 130 years. Economic poverty, because when you ask someone about poverty alleviation, the immediate default view is that you're talking about economic poverty. So let's start with that, although my belief is that that's not the most important. But economic poverty, the bicycle can lift people out of economic poverty through the provision of very, very low cost mobility. So for a very, very low daily cost, you are able to travel to school, to work, to seek out new employment opportunities, and so on. We are trying to address the 3 tiers of poverty alleviation, if you like, which is social poverty, economic poverty, and environmental poverty, through this amazing machine of the bicycle, which has transformed societies for the last 130 years. Economic poverty, because when you ask someone about poverty alleviation, the immediate default view is that you're talking about economic poverty. So let's start with that, although my belief is that that's not the most important. But economic poverty, the bicycle can lift people out of economic poverty through the provision of very, very low cost mobility. So for a very, very low daily cost, you are able to travel to school, to work, to seek out new employment opportunities, and so on. When I talk about the environmental poverty, the bicycle over the vehicle, over the private motor vehicle, is a 90%, up to a 90% reduction in CO2. So for every kilometer that you travel by bicycle, you are reducing your CO2 emission value by 90% over using a vehicle, a motorized vehicle. In terms of the social poverty, which I think is actually the most important level of poverty that is afflicting society today, it's really about we as a society, particularly in South Africa, but also in a lot of other countries, don't connect with one another. There's too many, based on the apartheid legacy and based on the history of division in this country, there's too many fractures and too many pillars that have been put in the place of people connecting together as a real South African community. And I think the longer that we keep driving cars and being insular in the way that we live, and protected and scared, and the politics of fear that goes with it, the more that is going to continue. If we can get out of our cars and get out of our boxes and travel together as one, on bicycles and on foot and on public transport, that is how we will actually break down those barriers of social poverty which exist, and get to know each other as regular South Africans. And the bicycle does that. As to a large degree it does it. You can see it in countries like Denmark and the Netherlands, where people meet and greet each other in the streets. And in Germany, in your native Germany, you're starting to see it as well, as major cities are turning to the bicycle as the form of urban transport.